Welcome to Leader Lifestyle Hub. As we have set the target of completing 200 book summaries, here comes the book number 183. The name of the book that we have today is The Daily Laws, written by Robert Greene. Let us see the target audience and the top 3 lessons of this book. The 33-year-old frustrated project manager who can't seem to get ahead at his job. The 46-year-old successful painter who is wondering where next to take her career, and anyone who wants to get an overview of Robert Greene's work. The Daily Laws is a page-a-day calendar-style book covering 3 big topics of mastery, power, and emotions, sharing Robert Greene's best lessons from 20 years of research of the dynamics within and between humans. Let us listen from the Robert Greene. Embrace your strangeness, identify what makes you different, fuse those things together and become an anomaly. If your son had worked some 60 odd jobs by the time he was 36, would you write him off as a lost cause? It's a brutal question, but it is hard to imagine any parent would not at least be deeply worried. And yet, in Robert Greene's case, everything ultimately turned out more than just fine. After what can only be called a rough start, and that's an extreme understatement. Greene has now published multiple million copy bestsellers. After researching the dynamics within and between humans for more than 20 years, he decided to curate the best of his many laws from his books. The result is The Daily Laws, a 366-page compendium. Means this book is contains of 366 pages with short and daily life lessons. In the Simon Sinek's The Infinite Game, there is an exercise to discover your just cause. When the Nick did for 4-minute books, he realized his largest purpose was this. We want to build a world in which every person reads at least 1 page a day, and no human child or adult is afraid to open any book. Read a page, save the day. That's the mantra we want you to adapt, and in that sense, the Daily Laws 366 meditations on power, seduction, mastery, strategy, and human nature is the perfect tool. Try reading a page a day, and if it does not stick, just flick around to see which laws grab you the most. The tagline of this book is 366 Meditations on Power, Seduction, Mastery, and Strategy and Human Nature. Fun fact, Ryan Halliday was Greene's mentee. Robert Greene's mentee is Ryan Halliday, and he likely helped him with this book, which is very similar to the Daily Stoic. We have seen 365 pages and equally valuable and easy to read the book. Let us see the top 3 lessons. The book is structured like a calendar, but the months are subgrouped into the 3 major sections. Here is a lesson from one of each of them. Mastery is a lifelong journey, not a destination we arrive at. Let me repeat the statement. Mastery is a lifelong journey, not a destination we arrive at. The second important lesson is the game of the power is always on, and there are only 3 ways to react it. Avoid tactical hell by zooming out regularly in all kinds of life scenarios. Let us move on to each and every lesson in detail. Ready to learn what Robert Greene has discovered after 20 years of analyzing the human mind. This is your explanation of 20 years research. Let's dig in deep. Lesson number 1. Mastery is never-ending process. It must be maintained, not attained. So mastery is not attainable, but it is maintainable. Over the first 3 months, the book deals with the mastery. In the 12 months, the first 3 months deals with the mastery, about which Robert Greene wrote a book of the same name. Going back to his journey to become a writer, Greene had loved words since he was a child. But a career in journalism did not pan out, and so he began bouncing from job to job. He kept writing on the side, However, and eventually opportunity struck. Greene published The 48 Laws of Power, a book that sold over 2 million copies and changed his career entirely. If you asked him today, however, he would still tell you he is a constantly learning. Greene believes mastery must be maintained, not attained. After discovering your life's task, a process he likens to an archaeological dig rather than a magical revelation. You first must apprentice. Following years of mentorship, you will become a master, but that is not where the journey ends. In the one thing, Gary Keller shared a great way of looking at it. When you can see mastery as a path you go down instead of a destination you arrive at, it starts to feel accessible and attainable. One thing at a time. Mastery is a way of thinking, a way of acting, and a journey you experience. No matter how good you are at the job, how famous you become, or how many books you sell, remember that you must always keep practicing, always keep learning, and always keep growing. These are the three things you need to remember. Always keep practicing, keep learning, and keep growing. Mastery is a path we walk, not a destination we arrive at. Remember that mastery is not a destination, mastery is a path we walk. Let us move on to the lesson number 2. Power is a never ending game that is always being played, and you can only embrace it, ignore it, or accept it. Most of Greene's writing deals with the power, how we attain and how we lose it, and the games people play to get and keep it. For 5 months, his daily laws cover various questions around power. Once the mastery completed, the next 5 months of a calendar, he worked on the power. One of the most fundamental yet important ones is that humans are always playing power games. Whether you like it or not, people want power. And so wherever humans are involved, power struggles comes into play. Pun intended. These are all only 3 ways. There are only 3 ways to deal with the fact that life is a never-ending game of power. Embrace it, ignore it, or accept it. These are the 3 ways to deal with the fact life is never-ending game of power. Many people love power games. Unfortunately, the Machiavellis out there often lose their power due to the corruption and being too desperate for it. Second way is ignore it. Others pretend power does not exist or turn up their nose at anyone who gives in to their desire for the status. But that is just opting out of a game everyone else plans. You too can, but you will also end up with no power. If you ignore it, there is no power. And the third one is accept it. A balanced person will choose when and which power games to play. You can sit out some of them, but make sure you attain power where it really matters to you and thus live a good life. Power is not inherently good or bad. Like money or status, it is just a tool. What it leads to depends on how you use it. So, what it leads to depends on how you use it. Stay aware of the power games happening around you all the times, and then make conscious decisions about which ones you actually want to play. Lesson number 3. If you don't want to get stuck in the tactical hell, you must take a higher, wider, more longer term perspective regularly. Tactical hell is a term Greene uses for the reactive mode all of us find ourselves in from time to time. You are so stressed out, you don't even know where to begin. Deadlines, course, the demands of friends and family. It's all too much. And all you can do is react. But that is not living. That's just being pushed around by life's event and your emotions. In order to combat tactical hell, we must take an elevated perspective. Greene says, what does that mean? Zoom out. Remember the big picture. Think about how big life is and how small your problems is in comparison. Consider the long-term view. Will your neighbor really stay angry at you forever because you blocked his driveway once? No. Most of the battles you find yourself in are not really battles you have to fight. You can disengage. Take a breath when life gets stressful. Write an angry email, but don't send it. So whenever you get stressful, write an angry email, but don't send it to anyone. Remember your mortality and think about long-term consequences rather than short-term discomfort. Take these steps and you will rarely get stuck in the tactical hell. Let me repeat the quotation that we have seen. Embrace your strangeness. Identify what makes you different. Fuse those things together and become an anomaly. In the 366 page, the daily laws, Robert Greene worked on mastery, power, seduction, strategy, and human nature. The first 3 months of the book, that means 3 into 30 days, around 90 pages of the book describes about mastery, which is saying about it is never-ending process and it must be maintained, not attained. Mastery is like path we walk, not a destination we arrive at. Second is topic that Robert Greene covered is a power, which is about 5 months. 5 into 30, it is like 150 pages. In his book, he explained about power, especially he worked on the more on power, and he also written the 48 laws of power, which is also sold million copies. And the third one is he worked on the tactical hell, which is like seduction and strategy. And he always explains that remember your mortality, think about long-term consequences rather than short-term discomfort. Sometimes you might have discomfort in doing some activities which you are goal-oriented. Even though you are going through discomfort, think about the long-term consequences if you do that. Take these steps and you will rarely get stuck in the tactical hell. This is all about the daily laws. And if you are loving this daily laws, remember one thing, read a page, save a day. Or write a page, publish a book in a year. This is the mantra you can adapt so that just flick around to see which laws grab you the most. Read a page and save the day, or write a page, publish a book. And see you in another book summary tomorrow. Until then, stay connected, keep progressing. Do like, share, and subscribe. And write down your powerful ideas, that thoughts and memories that pops up in this book summary. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow again. Stay connected.